tonight are going to be doing a brake flush on a 2003 Acura MDX. And I'm going to show you the steps on how to do this. This vehicle here has about 205,000 miles on it, but still running strong. These are great vehicles. I recommend them. If you're on a budget, you can find them pretty cheap now with all the luxury items, and they still run really good. All-wheel drive with a rear differential lockout, locker, and all that jazz. Anyways, I'm going to show you the tools that you're going to need to do this, and this is going to be a one-man job. A lot of times you have somebody inside the cab pumping the brake. We're going to stay away from that, and we're going to do this as a one-person job, so you can do this here in your garage. The reason we're doing this on this vehicle, this 2003 Acura, is because it has a lot of miles, and I don't think the brake fluid's been changed in a while. It's fairly dirty, and I have a spongy pedal. I can't get the brakes to lock up, or the ABS to have an event, I guess I should say. And winter's coming, and I want to make sure that the ABS is working good and the brakes are all good. So without further ado, we'll get started. Here's the 2003 Acura. First thing we're going to do is open the hood, lift the vehicle, of course, off the ground. I'm going to take the wheels off for this procedure so that you can all see a little bit better where the brake bleeder screw is at and such. You could probably actually do it without turning the wheels or taking the wheels off. You can just turn the wheels far enough to get access to the brake caliper on the back side. But for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and take the wheels off. Tools you'll need is, of course, something to get your lug nuts off, either your tire iron or a socket wrench, and then you'll need either an 8 or a 10 millimeter wrench for the brake bleeder screw to help loosen that. And then I'm going to empty the brake master cylinder with this syringe here, medicine syringe. It's not the best thing. It's going to take a little bit to do because of the size, but it's all I got at this point. And then I just got like a 20-ounce bottle of soda, and then you also need some this clear line. I believe it's 3/8 inch line. You can find that at any of your department or automotive department stores. So, and then of course brake fluid. So to get started here, I'm gonna go ahead and take these wheels off. Okay, so currently I have both front wheels off. I'm gonna get down here and show you what we're looking at. So, as you can see, this person's got their fancy slotted and drilled rotors on here. To each his own. So, let's see here. If I can get a good picture here. Looks like we have plenty of pad. So these all look good. Now what I'm actually looking for, what I'm going to be using here to bleed the brakes, is the brake bleeder valve. And there's one on each caliper. There's generally a plastic boot on each brake bleeder valve. Go ahead and take that off and set that to the side. And with good enough light here, right here is your brake bleeder valve. So first off, I'm going to go up top into the engine bay. Okay, right here you have your master cylinder reservoir. If this is dirty, make sure to clean it off. This is a garaged vehicle, so I don't need to do much there. And then we're going to take this off. Word of caution, brake fluid does dissolve paint, so do not get it on any painted surfaces. If you do, wash it off with plenty of water very quickly. and you'll be fine. So in this model here, this 2003 Acura MDX, we can see that it has kind of a little filter cup here. And what that does is it just kind of catches heavy sediment and clean it up. Actually just flush water through it. All right, everybody, I've just emptied the brake fluid reservoir. Let me see if I can get a better camera angle on this. As you can see, that's all out, except for a little residual that's going to be hard to get out. But we got about this much out. And again, this is about a 20-ounce bottle. It's the one bigger than the 20-ounce. A liter, I guess, is what you call it. So that's what came out of there. A brake bleeder, and we're going to start emptying out what's in the lines. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we add more fluid to this reservoir. We do not want to let it go dry. When it goes dry, you're going to suck in air, and it's just no good. We just don't want to do that. You'll have to end up bench bleeding the master cylinder, and that's a whole other video. So don't do that. Keep it full. There's different types of fluids. There's, for example, DOT3, DOT4. Check your master cylinder cap. Generally, it's on there. It'll tell you what it is that you should be using, but that's very important to get the correct fluid. For this 2003 Acura, it's going to be DOT3. So I'm just going to fill up this reservoir before we get started on the bleeding process. Okay, I just filled up the reservoir with fluid. You probably can't tell because it is more clear than it was, but it is all the way full. For this purpose, I'm just going to leave the cap off and start bleeding the brakes now. All right, folks, we got our brake bleeder line going into our soda bottle. We want to make sure that the end of the line is submerged in the old brake fluid here. Lift this up so I can show you. Make sure that it is submerged and not popping out. The reason we do this is we don't want to suck air back into the caliper when we release the brake pedal. So keep that in there. And then we're going to go ahead and open our brake bleeder valve. And we just want to kind of crack it open. We don't want it open a ton. So at that point we might start sucking air past the threads. I would say a quarter of a turn would work just fine. As you can see, there's some fluid running out now. So I'm going to go inside the vehicle and pump the brake a few times. And I want to make sure that all that dirty fluid gets out of the lines. So keep an eye on it now, and you should start to see it empty out. The push on the brake pedal. So that is looking pretty good. I'm going to go back up and check my reservoir and add some more fluid to it. Remember, you don't want to go dry. Give this a couple more pumps. I think we'll be good on this left front. Okay. I'm going going to come in here and tighten our bleeder screw back to clear, or back to tight, just snug. I'll take off my bleeder pipe, bleeder tube, and move the wrench and place the rubber grommet back over the top of this bleeder screw. So now we'll go on over to the other side and do the same thing. All right, we're on the passenger side front. I'm gonna go ahead and place my wrench on here and then hook up my hose to the bleeder screw. Again, make sure that the hose is submerged in the old fluid. Very important. Now I'm going to go ahead and loosen the bleeder screw. About a quarter turn. That should do it for this side. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten the bleeder screw back to tight and remove the hose and replace the rubber grommet. So I don't know how good you can see this. The lighting's pretty bad. It's dark at night. This is the passenger rear brake caliper. We're going to bleed that now. I'm going to go ahead and break the bleed screw loose. Just a quarter turn. Okay, that brake pedal is firming up quite a bit, so that's good news. I think we're getting a lot of the air out. Should help this beast stop fairly quickly. So we tighten up that bleed screw. Again, make sure you place that rubber grommet over it. And I should say every manufacturer has their own sequence to bleed in. Make sure you look it up. You can find it on the internet under your make and model of vehicle with the words brake bleed sequence. So that's important to do. One other point is to make sure that you don't press the pedal all the way down to the ground, especially on older vehicles. You could run past some wear in the master cylinder where the valves have kind of worn themselves into grooves. If you go past those grooves, you can end up blowing out the master cylinder. So just take note of that. We'll move on to the last wheel, which is the driver's side rear. Okay folks, we're on to our last one. This is the driver rear caliper. Apparatus hooked up. Again, just a crack open. About a quarter of a turn. That'll do it, and then I'll just go give it some pump. 3 pumps on the pedal. Checking my reservoir first to make sure it is full. It is. Go ahead and open it out. go ahead and tighten the bleeder screw to a closed position. And then that completes our brake bleed process. I'll just go ahead and put the rubber grommets back on. And that is it. So that is it, my friends. After that, you fill the brake master cylinder reservoir back up to the full mark and go take it for a test drive. You should have a nice firm pedal. If you don't, just repeat the steps that we just did, and you'll get there. Thanks.